Zara's silver skin shimmered in the afternoon sunlight as she stepped out of the small transport pod that had landed in Central Park. Her large, violet eyes took in everything around her with wonder and curiosity. This was her first visit to Earth, and she had been looking forward to it for months. As a travel blogger from the planet Ethereal, Zara specialized in documenting the strange and wonderful customs of different worlds. Her readers back home loved her detailed reports about alien cultures, especially the funny misunderstandings that always seemed to happen during her trips. "Welcome to New York City," said Marcus, her human guide. He was a tall man with kind brown eyes and a warm smile. The Earth Tourism Bureau had assigned him to help Zara navigate human culture during her week-long stay. "Thank you, Marcus," Zara replied, her voice carrying a musical quality that made several passers-by turn and stare. "I am so excited to learn about human customs. My readers are particularly interested in your eating habits." Marcus grinned. "Well, you picked the right city for that. New York has some of the best food in the world. Are you hungry? We could grab some lunch." Zara nodded eagerly. On Ethereal, her people absorbed nutrients directly from their planet's energy crystals. The concept of putting solid matter into one's mouth was both fascinating and slightly terrifying to her. They walked through the busy streets, and Zara marveled at the towering buildings and the endless stream of humans rushing past. Marcus led her to a small Italian restaurant with outdoor seating, thinking it would be perfect for her first human meal. "This place makes amazing pasta," Marcus said as they sat down, "and their gelato is incredible." The waiter approached their table. He was a young man with a friendly face, but when he saw Zara, his eyes widened in surprise. Her silver skin and unusual height made it obvious she wasn't from Earth. "Good afternoon," the waiter said, trying not to stare. "What can I get you started with today?" "We'll have 2 orders of the spaghetti carbonara," Marcus said. "And could we get some bread to start?" As the waiter walked away, Zara leaned forward with interest. "Marcus, I must ask you something that has been puzzling my people for years. We have heard rumors about human eating habits, but we cannot believe they are true." "What kind of rumors?" Marcus asked, genuinely curious. Zara looked around to make sure no one was listening, then whispered, "Is it true that humans use their tongues to move food around inside their mouths?" Marcus blinked in surprise. "Well, yes, that's how we eat. Is that strange to you?" Zara's violet eyes grew even larger. "But your tongue, it is the most sensitive organ in your mouth. How can you stand to touch food with it? Does it not feel awful?" "Actually, it feels good," Marcus said, trying not to laugh. "That's how we taste things. Our taste buds are on our tongues." "Taste buds?" Zara looked horrified. "You mean you have special organs specifically designed to touch food? That sounds so intimate." The waiter returned with a basket of warm bread. Zara stared at it like it might explode. "Go ahead. Try some," Marcus encouraged, tearing off a piece and popping it into his mouth. Zara watched in fascination as Marcus chewed. "You are moving it around in there with your tongue, are you not?" Yes," Marcus said, suddenly feeling self-conscious about something he had never thought about before. "How else would I eat it? On Ethereal, we simply absorb energy directly through our skin," Zara explained. "The idea of putting foreign objects into our mouths and manipulating them with our tongues, it seems so personal." Marcus had never thought of eating as personal before, but when Zara put it that way, he supposed it was rather intimate. "Would you like to try a small piece? You don't have to use your tongue much if you don't want to." Zara looked at the bread with a mixture of curiosity and nervousness. "I suppose I must for my research, but I do not understand why humans seem to enjoy this so much." She picked up a tiny piece of bread and held it near her mouth. Her hand was shaking slightly. "Just put it on your tongue gently," Marcus said. "Don't worry about chewing yet. Just see what it feels like." Zara placed the bread on the tip of her tongue and immediately jerked back. "Oh my! It is so textured, and it has flavor. I can taste it just by touching it. That's the point, Marcus said, smiling. Food is supposed to taste good. But it is so strange, Zara exclaimed. The sensation of having something foreign on my tongue. It is very overwhelming. How do you concentrate on anything else while eating? Marcus had never considered this question. I guess we're used to it. We've been eating since we were babies. Zara tried another small piece, this time letting it sit on her tongue longer. The flavor is pleasant, but the feeling of moving it around with my tongue is so odd. It is like kissing, but with food. Kissing? Marcus nearly choked on his water. Yes, Zara said matter-of-factly. On Ethereal, we only touch tongues with someone when we are being very romantic. Using your tongue to move food around seems like it would be confusing for your emotions. Marcus had never thought about the connection between eating and kissing before, but he supposed Zara had a point. Both involved using your tongue for physical sensation. The waiter arrived with their pasta, setting down 2 steaming plates of spaghetti carbonara. Zara stared at the long noodles with what could only be described as terror. Those are very long, she observed. How does one even begin to eat something like that? You twirl it around your fork, Marcus demonstrated, wrapping several strands of spaghetti around his fork. Like this. He took a bite, and Zara watched intently as he chewed. You are moving your tongue quite a lot in there, she said. Is it pushing the food to different parts of your mouth? Yeah, I guess so, Marcus said, becoming increasingly aware of every movement his tongue was making. I never really thought about it before. Zara attempted to twirl some spaghetti around her fork, but she wasn't very successful. The noodles kept slipping off. Here, let me help, Marcus said, reaching over to guide her fork. After several attempts, Zara managed to get a small bite of spaghetti onto her fork. She stared at it for a long moment. This is it, she said dramatically. I am about to let these long, slippery objects into my mouth, where I will manipulate them with my most sensitive organ. It's just pasta, Marcus said gently. Millions of people eat it every day. Zara took a deep breath and put the forkful of spaghetti into her mouth. Her eyes immediately widened. Oh, she said, her mouth still full. It is warm. And the sauce. I can taste the cheese and the eggs and… Is that bacon? Pancetta, Marcus corrected. It's similar to bacon. Zara chewed slowly, clearly paying attention to every sensation. This is extraordinary. The way the flavors combine when I move the food around with my tongue. It is like a symphony of taste. Now you're getting it, Marcus said, pleased to see her enjoying the experience. But it is still so strange, Zara continued after swallowing. The intimacy of it. I feel like I am having a very personal relationship with this food. A couple at the next table overheard this comment and began staring. Marcus waved apologetically. Maybe we should talk a little quieter, he suggested. Zara nodded but continued eating with intense concentration. Marcus, I must ask you another question about human tongues. Okay, Marcus said, though he was beginning to feel nervous about where this conversation might go. I have heard that humans also use their tongues for recreational activities? Marcus felt his face turn red. What kind of recreational activities? Well, Zara said, lowering her voice, I have heard that humans sometimes stick their tongues out of their mouths for no reason at all. Is this true? Marcus relaxed slightly. Oh, you mean like sticking your tongue out at someone? Yeah, we do that sometimes. It's usually playful or rude, depending on the situation. Playful. Zara looked confused. You use your eating organ for play? It's not just an eating organ, Marcus explained. We use our tongues for lots of things. Talking, for example. Talking. Zara dropped her fork. You use your tongue to make words? Well, yeah. Don't you? No. We communicate through telepathic vibrations. Our tongues are only for Well, we do not really use them much at all. They are considered very private body parts. This explained a lot about Zara's reaction to eating, Marcus realized. If tongues were considered private and intimate organs on her planet, then watching humans eat must seem incredibly personal to her. So when you see humans talking, Marcus said, you're watching them use what you consider to be a private body part? Exactly, Zara said. It is very confusing. You use your tongue so casually, for eating and talking and play. On Ethereal, showing your tongue to someone is something you only do with a life partner. That's... Wow, Marcus said. I can see why human culture would seem strange to you. Zara took another bite of spaghetti, moving it around thoughtfully in her mouth. I am beginning to understand, though. Your tongues are not just one thing to you. They are tools for many purposes. Right? Marcus said. We don't think of them as particularly private or intimate. They're just part of how we function. But surely there are times when tongue contact is considered intimate for humans as well? Zara asked. Marcus felt his face heating up again. Well, yes, when people kiss. Ah, Zara said triumphantly. So you do understand the intimacy of tongues. You simply choose to use them for other purposes as well. I guess that's one way to look at it, Marcus said. They continued eating, and Zara became more comfortable with the process. She even began to experiment with different amounts of sauce on her fork and different ways of chewing. This is quite enjoyable once you get used to it, she admitted, though I still find it remarkable that you can concentrate on conversation while manipulating food with your tongues. We're pretty good at multitasking, Marcus said. After they finished their pasta, the waiter brought over the dessert menu. Oh, you have to try the gelato, Marcus said. It's incredible. Zara looked at the menu with renewed nervousness. What is gelato? It's like ice cream. It's cold and sweet and creamy. Cold? Zara looked alarmed. You put cold things in your mouth intentionally? It's refreshing, Marcus said, especially on a hot day like today. The waiter returned, and Marcus ordered 2 scoops of gelato, 1 vanilla and 1 chocolate. I thought you might want to try 2 different flavors, he explained to Zara. When the gelato arrived, Zara stared at it suspiciously. It is very cold. I can see the condensation on the bowl. Just try a tiny bit, Marcus encouraged. Zara dipped her spoon into the vanilla gelato and took the smallest possible bite. The moment it hit her tongue, she made a face like she had been electrocuted. It is so cold, she gasped. And it is melting on my tongue. It is becoming liquid in my mouth. That's what ice cream does, Marcus said. Do you like the flavor? Zara considered this carefully, moving the melting gelato around in her mouth. The taste is quite pleasant, very sweet and smooth, but the sensation of it changing from solid to liquid on my tongue is very strange. She tried the chocolate next, and her reaction was even more dramatic. Oh my goodness, she exclaimed. This one has a completely different flavor. How can the same type of food taste so different? Different ingredients, Marcus explained. The chocolate one has cocoa in it. Zara alternated between the 2 flavors, clearly fascinated by the contrast. This is amazing. My tongue can distinguish between these 2 substances, even though they have the same texture and temperature. Your taste buds can detect different flavors, Marcus said. That's how taste works. But it is so complex, Zara said. There are layers of flavor in each one. The vanilla has hints of something floral, and the chocolate has bitter notes that balance the sweetness. Marcus watched in amazement as Zara described the gelato with the precision of a professional food critic. Her alien perspective was giving her an incredibly detailed appreciation for flavors that most humans took for granted. You should be a food writer, he told her. Perhaps I will, Zara said thoughtfully. This experience has been quite educational, though I still cannot get over the strangeness of using one's tongue so extensively. As they finished their dessert, Zara began asking more questions about human eating habits. "Do you eat alone or with others?" she asked. "Both," Marcus said. "Sometimes we eat alone, sometimes with family or friends." "And do you talk while eating?" "Sure. Sharing a meal is often a social activity." Zara shook her head in wonder. "So you use your tongues to eat and talk at the same time? How do you manage not to bite them?" "Practice, I guess," Marcus said. "We learn as children." "And what about spicy food?" Zara asked. "I have heard that humans intentionally eat things that cause pain in their mouths." "Some people like spicy food," Marcus admitted. "The heat can be enjoyable in small amounts." "You seek out pain for your tongues?" Zara looked horrified. "It's not really pain," Marcus tried to explain. "It's more like intensity. It makes you feel alive." "Humans are very strange," Zara concluded. As they walked back through Central Park after lunch, Zara continued to observe human behavior with new eyes. "Look at that," she said, pointing to a man eating a hot dog from a street vendor. "He is putting that entire long object in his mouth. How does he not choke?" "He's taking bites," Marcus explained. "You don't eat the whole thing at once." They watched as the man took a large bite of his hot dog, and Zara studied his jaw movements intently. "His tongue must be working very hard in there," she observed, "moving the food around, avoiding his teeth, helping him swallow." "You're really fixated on tongues," Marcus said with a laugh. "Because it is so fascinating," Zara exclaimed. "You use this one organ for so many different purposes, and you do it all unconsciously. On Ethereal, each body part has one specific function. The idea of multitasking with body parts is completely foreign to us." They passed a group of children eating ice cream cones, and Zara stopped to watch them. "Those young ones are licking their food," she said. "They are using their tongues like tools to remove the frozen substance from those cone-shaped containers." "That's how you eat ice cream cones," Marcus said. "You lick them. But they are using just the tips of their tongues," Zara noted. "Very precise movements. And they seem to be enjoying the sensation." One of the children noticed Zara staring and stuck his tongue out at her. Zara gasped and stepped backward. "Did you see that?" she whispered to Marcus. "That small human just displayed his tongue to me directly. Is that some kind of threat?" No, Marcus said quickly. "He was just being silly. Kids do that." "But you said that showing your tongue was a form of play or rudeness," Zara said. "Which was it in this case?" "Play," Marcus said. "He was just being playful." Zara shook her head. "I will never understand how humans can be so casual about their tongues." As the afternoon went on, Zara continued to notice every instance of humans using their tongues. She saw people licking stamps, licking their lips, clicking their tongues, and even someone doing tongue twisters as a street performance. "That human is making his tongue move in very complex patterns just for entertainment," she said, watching the street performer. "It is like acrobatics for tongues." "Tongue twisters are a kind of word game," Marcus explained. "They're supposed to be difficult to say." "But why would you want to make speaking more difficult?" Zara asked. "For fun," Marcus said. "Humans like challenges." "So you challenge yourselves with your tongues for entertainment," Zara said slowly. "You eat with them, talk with them, play with them, express emotions with them. Is there anything humans do not use their tongues for?" Marcus thought about this question seriously. "Well, we don't use them for walking or seeing or hearing. But for almost everything involving your mouth, you use your tongue," Zara observed. "It is truly a remarkable organ." As the sun began to set, Marcus and Zara sat on a park bench to rest. Zara was still processing everything she had learned about human tongue usage. "I must ask you one more question," she said. "Is it true that humans sometimes bite their own tongues accidentally?" "Unfortunately, yes," Marcus said. "It happens sometimes when we're eating or talking quickly." Zara winced. That must be very painful, since your tongues are so sensitive. It is, Marcus agreed. But it heals quickly. And yet you continue to use your tongues so extensively, even knowing you might accidentally hurt them? The benefits outweigh the risks, Marcus said. We couldn't eat or talk properly without our tongues. Zara sat quietly for a moment watching people walk by. A couple passed them sharing a bag of popcorn, and she watched as they took turns reaching into the bag and popping kernels into their mouths. I think I am beginning to understand something important about humans, she said finally. What's that? Marcus asked. You are not afraid of sensation, Zara said thoughtfully. On Ethereal, we avoid most physical sensations because they can be overwhelming or uncomfortable. But humans seem to seek them out. You want to taste things and feel things and experience things, even if they might be unpleasant sometimes. That's a pretty insightful observation, Marcus said. Your relationship with your tongues is a perfect example, Zara continued. You could probably find ways to eat and communicate that did not involve using such a sensitive organ. But you choose to use them because the sensations are enjoyable, even though they also make you vulnerable to pain or discomfort. Marcus had never thought about human behavior in quite this way, but Zara's perspective was illuminating. I suppose you're right, he said. We do seem to choose the more sensory-rich options, even when there might be safer alternatives. It is very brave, Zara said admiringly, and very strange, but I think I understand now why humans seem so vibrant and emotional compared to other species I have encountered. You experience everything so intensely because you are willing to be vulnerable to sensation. As they walked back toward Zara's hotel, she stopped at another street vendor, this one selling soft pretzels. I would like to try one of those, she announced. Really? Marcus was surprised. After all your concerns about eating? I want to experience what it feels like to eat something that requires extensive tongue use, Zara said determinedly. If I am going to write about human culture, I need to understand it fully. Marcus bought her a pretzel with mustard, and Zara examined it carefully. It has a very complex shape, she observed, twisted into knots, and there are large salt crystals on the surface. She took a bite, and her eyes immediately watered from the salt. Oh, it is very salty. My tongue is experiencing quite a shock. Try dipping it in the mustard, Marcus suggested. It will balance out the salt. Zara dipped the pretzel in the mustard and took another bite. This time, her reaction was even more dramatic. The mustard has a very sharp flavor, she gasped. It makes my tongue tingle, but somehow it does balance the salt. How did humans discover this combination? Trial and error, probably, Marcus said, and sharing knowledge over generations. Zara continued eating the pretzel with intense concentration, analyzing every bite. The bread part becomes softer as I chew it, she reported, and mixing it with my saliva changes the texture. My tongue is working quite hard to manage all these different textures and flavors at once. You're really getting the hang of it, Marcus said encouragingly. I am, Zara agreed, though I still find it remarkable that humans can eat and carry on conversations at the same time. I have to concentrate so hard on the eating process that I can barely think about anything else. You'll get used to it, Marcus said, if you decide to keep experimenting with human food. Oh, I definitely will, Zara said with determination. This has been the most fascinating cultural experience of my career. Wait until my readers hear about the incredible complexity of human tongue usage. As they reached Zara's hotel, she turned to Marcus with a grateful smile. Thank you for being so patient with my questions today, she said. I know my fascination with your tongues must have seemed odd. Not odd, Marcus said, just different. It's been interesting seeing familiar things through your perspective. I have one final question, Zara said. Do you think other humans would be willing to let me observe them eating? For my research, Marcus thought about this. I think most people would be happy to help, as long as you explain what you're doing. New Yorkers are pretty used to unusual requests. Excellent, Zara said. Tomorrow I want to observe humans eating soup. I cannot imagine how you manage to get liquid from a bowl into your mouths without spilling it everywhere. Marcus laughed. Spoons help. Spoons are tools for the tongue? Zara asked eagerly. Tools that work with the tongue, Marcus corrected. You'll see. As Zara headed up to her room, she called back over her shoulder. I cannot wait to tell my readers about the amazing versatility of human tongues. They will never believe all the things you do with them. Marcus shook his head in amusement as he watched her go. He had learned almost as much about humanity today as Zara had, just by seeing his own culture through alien eyes. The next morning, Zara's first blog post went live across the galaxy. The incredible multi-purpose human tongue, an organ of amazing complexity. Within hours, it became the most read article in the history of interplanetary travel writing. And somewhere in Central Park, Marcus was eating a sandwich, suddenly very aware of every movement his tongue was making. The next morning, Zara woke up early, eager to continue her research. She had spent most of the night writing her blog post about human tongues, and the response from her readers had been overwhelming. Her inbox was flooded with questions from curious ethereals who wanted to know more about these strange Earth customs. Marcus met her in the hotel lobby, carrying 2 cups of coffee. Good morning, Zara, he said, offering her one of the cups. I brought you some coffee to try. It's a very popular human beverage. Zara accepted the cup and peered into it suspiciously. It is very dark, and it smells quite strong. It's a stimulant, Marcus explained. Most humans drink it to help wake up in the morning. You consume stimulants regularly? Zara asked, looking alarmed. Is that safe? Coffee is pretty mild, Marcus said with a laugh. Just try a small sip. Zara brought the cup to her lips and took a tentative sip. Her entire body shuddered. It is so bitter, she exclaimed. And hot. Why would anyone drink something that tastes so harsh? It's an acquired taste, Marcus said. You can add sugar or cream to make it sweeter. You add other substances to make the original substance more palatable? Zara looked confused. Why not just drink the sugar and cream directly? Marcus had never considered this logic before. Well, the coffee has caffeine, which gives you energy. The sugar and cream just make it taste better. Zara tried another sip, this time rolling it around on her tongue thoughtfully. I can detect the bitterness, but there are other flavors too. Something nutty, and something almost smoky. You have a very good palate, Marcus said, impressed. This is a Colombian blend with chocolate and caramel notes. My tongue is becoming more sophisticated, Zara said proudly. Yesterday, I could barely handle the sensation of bread. Today, I am analyzing complex flavor profiles. They walked to a small cafe that Marcus had chosen specifically for its variety of soups. As they entered, Zara immediately began observing the other customers. Look at that table, she whispered to Marcus. Those humans are holding their cups with both hands and bringing them to their faces. They are inhaling the steam before drinking. They're smelling their coffee, Marcus explained. Smell is part of the tasting experience. Smell and taste are connected? Zara asked. Very much so. Your nose helps you taste things. Zara immediately brought her coffee cup to her nose and inhaled deeply. Oh my! The aroma is completely different from the taste. It is much more pleasant when I smell it than when I taste it. That's because taste and smell work together, Marcus said. When you drink coffee, you smell it at the same time you taste it. Zara experimented with this concept, alternating between smelling and tasting her coffee. This is fascinating. So humans use multiple organs simultaneously when consuming beverages. We use our tongues, our noses, and even our eyes, Marcus said. We eat with all our senses. Your eyes. Zara looked puzzled. Sure. Food that looks good tastes better than food that looks bad. Zara stared at Marcus in amazement. You mean the visual appearance of food affects how it tastes on your tongue? Absolutely. Presentation is a big part of cooking. But how can what you see change what you taste? Zara asked. Those are completely different sensory inputs. The brain connects them, Marcus explained, though he realized he didn't fully understand the science himself. It's all part of the same experience. Zara spent several minutes looking around the cafe, studying how humans were interacting with their food and drinks. I am beginning to understand that eating is not just about nutrition for humans. It is a complex sensory experience that involves multiple organs working together. Exactly, Marcus said. That's why we have restaurants and food culture. Eating is entertainment as much as it is survival. The waitress approached their table and Marcus ordered 2 different soups for them to try. A chicken noodle soup and a tomato bisque. Perfect, Zara said when the waitress left. Now I can observe the mysterious human relationship with liquid food. When the soups arrived, Zara stared at them with the same intense focus she had given to solid food the day before. The chicken soup has many components, she observed. I can see long noodles, chunks of vegetables, and pieces of what I assume is meat, all floating in liquid. That's right, Marcus said, picking up his spoon. And the red soup appears to be completely liquid, Zara continued. No visible solid components. That's tomato bisque. It's been blended smooth. Zara watched as Marcus dipped his spoon into the chicken soup and brought it to his mouth. You are using a tool to transport the liquid to your mouth. But how do you keep it from spilling? The spoon holds it, Marcus said, demonstrating. You have to be careful not to tip it too much. Zara picked up her spoon and attempted to copy Marcus's movements. She managed to get some soup onto the spoon, but when she lifted it, most of it dripped back into the bowl. This requires considerable skill, she said, frowning in concentration. You'll get the hang of it, Marcus encouraged. After several attempts, Zara managed to get a spoonful of soup to her mouth. The moment it touched her lips, her eyes widened. It is warm, and the liquid is carrying flavors from all the solid components. That's what soup is, Marcus said. The flavors from all the ingredients blend together in the broth. Zara took the soup into her mouth and immediately began analyzing the experience. The liquid is coating my entire tongue. It is reaching areas that solid food cannot reach. And there are multiple textures. The soft noodles, the firmer vegetables, the tender meat, all mixed together. How does it taste? Marcus asked. Complex, Zara said thoughtfully. The liquid base has a rich, savory flavor, but each solid component adds its own taste. My tongue is experiencing a symphony of flavors and textures simultaneously. She tried the tomato bisque next, and her reaction was completely different. This is entirely liquid, but it has such a rich, concentrated flavor. How is this possible? The tomatoes are cooked down and blended with cream and spices, Marcus explained. It concentrates the flavors. So you take solid food, transform it into liquid, and then consume it as liquid? Zara asked. Sometimes, yes. But why? Why not just eat the tomatoes in their original form? Marcus considered this. Different textures create different experiences. Some flavors work better as liquids, some as solids. Zara nodded slowly. So humans deliberately manipulate the texture of food to create different sensory experiences for their tongues. I never thought of it that way, but yes. As Zara continued eating her soup, she began to notice other diners around them. At the next table, a woman was eating a salad, and Zara watched her intently. That human is eating many different plants at the same time, she observed. Different colors, different shapes, different textures. And she is mixing them all together on her tool before putting them in her mouth. That's a salad, Marcus said. It's designed to give you lots of different flavors and textures in one dish. So rather than eating each plant separately, she combines them to create a more complex experience for her tongue. Right? Zara shook her head in wonder. Humans are so creative with their food. You do not simply consume what nature provides. You combine, transform, and manipulate ingredients to create entirely new sensory experiences. Cooking is an art form, Marcus said. Some people spend their whole lives perfecting it. There are humans whose primary occupation is creating new tongue experiences? Zara asked. Chefs, yes. They're highly respected. On Ethereal, our energy absorption is the same for everyone, Zara said. The concept of specializing in nutrition delivery is fascinating. As they finished their soup, Zara noticed a man at the counter blowing on his coffee to cool it down. What is that human doing? She asked, pointing. Blowing on his coffee to cool it down, Marcus said. He is using his breath to modify the temperature of his beverage? Yeah, it's pretty common when something is too hot. Zara watched the man take a sip after blowing on his coffee. So humans can adjust the temperature of food using their own bodily functions? Well, just breathing on it, Marcus said. It's not that dramatic. But it is, Zara exclaimed. He is using air from his lungs to change the properties of his drink, so that it will be more comfortable for his tongue. Marcus had never considered coffee blowing to be particularly remarkable, but Zara's perspective made it seem like an amazing feat of human ingenuity. You know, he said, I never realized how complex eating really is until I started explaining it to you. Everything humans do seems complex to me, Zara said, but I am beginning to see the logic behind it. You have evolved to extract maximum sensory pleasure from the act of consuming nutrients. That's a very philosophical way to look at lunch, Marcus said with a smile. After they finished eating, they walked through the city streets, and Zara continued to observe human behavior with new eyes. She noticed people chewing gum, licking ice cream cones, and even saw a street musician playing a harmonica. That human is putting a musical instrument in his mouth, she said, pointing to the harmonica player. He is using his tongue and breath to create music. Harmonicas are mouth instruments, Marcus said. There are several kinds. So humans use their mouths not just for eating and talking, but for artistic expression as well? Music, yes, and some people are very good at it. Zara listened to the harmonica music with fascination. The sounds are created by air passing over metal reeds inside the instrument, but the human is using his tongue and lips to control the airflow? Exactly. So his tongue is essentially playing the instrument? You could say that. Zara walked closer to the musician and watched his mouth movements intently. His tongue is moving in very precise patterns inside his mouth, directing the air to different parts of the instrument. It is like a dance. The musician noticed Zara staring and winked at her. She immediately stepped back in surprise. Did you see that? She whispered to Marcus. He closed one eye at me. He was just being friendly, Marcus said. It's called winking. You have a gesture that involves closing one eye? Zara asked. It's usually flirtatious or playful, Marcus explained. So humans communicate not just with their tongues, but with their eyes as well? And their hands and their facial expressions and their body posture, Marcus said. We're very expressive. Zara was quiet for a moment, processing this information. You know, Marcus, I think I understand now why humans seem so vibrant and dynamic compared to other species I have studied. What do you mean? You use every part of your body for communication and expression, Zara said. Your tongues for eating, talking, and music. Your eyes for seeing and signaling. Your hands for gesturing. Your faces for showing emotions. You are constantly expressing yourselves in multiple ways simultaneously. I suppose we are, Marcus said. It is beautiful, Zara said simply, and exhausting to watch. As they continued walking, they passed a group of children playing in a small park. One child was trying to catch snowflakes on his tongue, even though it was summer and there was no snow. "What is that small human doing?" Zara asked. "Pretending to catch snowflakes," Marcus said. "Kids have good imaginations." "He is sticking his tongue out and moving it around in the air for imaginary reasons?" "He's playing." Zara watched the child with wonder. "So humans use their tongues for play even when there is no actual stimulus to respond to?" "Sure. We use our imaginations." "Your tongues respond to imaginary sensations?" Marcus thought about this. "Well, no. But we pretend they do." "The concept of pretending is fascinating," Zara said. "You deliberately create false sensory experiences for entertainment." "When you put it that way, it does sound kind of weird," Marcus admitted. "Not weird," Zara said. "Creative. Humans are incredibly creative with their sensory experiences." As the day went on, Zara continued to discover new ways that humans use their tongues. She watched people taste test fruit at a market, saw someone lick their finger to turn a page in a book, and observed a couple sharing a single ice cream cone. "That couple is taking turns putting the same food object in their mouths," she observed. "They are sharing tongue contact with the food." "Sharing food is romantic," Marcus said. "It shows trust and intimacy." "Because tongues are intimate organs?" Zara asked. "Well, not exactly. But sharing food is personal, yes. I think I am beginning to understand human relationships better," Zara said. "You bond through shared sensory experiences." "That's actually pretty insightful," Marcus said. "Eating together, talking together, making music together. All of these activities involve using your tongues in social ways." "I never connected all of those activities before," Marcus said. "But you're right." As the sun began to set, they sat on a bench near the harbor. Zara was still processing everything she had learned. "Marcus," she said, "I have been thinking about something all day." "What's that?" "Yesterday, I was shocked by how casually humans use their tongues. But today, I realized that this casualness is actually a form of courage." "Courage?" "Yes, your tongues are sensitive, vulnerable organs. Every time you eat, you risk burning them or biting them. Every time you talk, you risk saying something wrong. Every time you play music or share food, you make yourself vulnerable to others." Marcus had never thought of using his tongue as an act of courage, but Zara's perspective was compelling. "But humans do all of these things anyway," Zara continued, "because the joy and connection you get from these experiences is worth the risk." "I suppose that's true," Marcus said. "It makes me admire humans very much," Zara said. "You are willing to be vulnerable in order to experience life fully." "What are you going to write about in your next blog post?" Marcus asked. "I think I want to write about human courage," Zara said. "How you use your most sensitive organs to connect with the world and with each other, even though it makes you vulnerable." "That sounds like a beautiful post," Marcus said. "I also want to write about soup," Zara added. "My readers will never believe that humans voluntarily put hot liquid in their mouths." Marcus laughed. "I'm sure they'll find it fascinating." As they walked back to Zara's hotel, she stopped at a street vendor one more time. "I want to try one more thing," she said. "Something that requires extensive tongue coordination." "What did you have in mind?" Zara pointed to a vendor selling cotton candy. "That pink substance looks like it would dissolve immediately on contact with moisture. I want to see what happens when it touches my tongue." Marcus bought her a small bag of cotton candy, and Zara examined it carefully. "It appears to be made of crystallized sugar fibers," she observed. "Very delicate structure." She pulled off a small piece and placed it on her tongue. Her eyes immediately widened in amazement. "It is dissolving," she exclaimed. "It is turning into liquid sugar on my tongue. But the sensation is so light and airy." "That's what cotton candy does," Marcus said. "It melts in your mouth." "This is incredible," Zara said, trying more. It is like eating sweetened air. My tongue barely has to work at all. The food does all the work itself. Do you like it? I love it, Zara said, her face lighting up with joy. It is like magic. Solid food that becomes liquid the moment it touches your tongue. As Zara enjoyed her cotton candy, Marcus realized that he had learned something important over the past 2 days. Seeing familiar experiences through alien eyes had made him appreciate the complexity and wonder of everyday human activities. Thank you, Zara, he said. For what? For helping me see my own world differently, Marcus said. I'll never take eating for granted again. And thank you for being so patient with my questions, Zara replied. You have helped me understand that humans are far more sophisticated than I initially thought. What's next on your research agenda? Marcus asked. Tomorrow, I want to observe humans singing, Zara said. I cannot imagine how you manage to create sustained musical notes while coordinating your tongue movements for pronunciation. That should be interesting, Marcus said. Everything about humans is interesting, Zara said with a smile. Even the things that seem simple at first are actually quite complex when you examine them closely. As they reached her hotel, Zara turned to Marcus with excitement in her violet eyes. I have decided something, she announced. What's that? I am going to extend my stay on Earth, she said. 1 week is not nearly enough time to understand human tongue culture. Tongue culture? Marcus asked with a laugh. That is what I am calling it, Zara said proudly. The incredibly complex ways humans use their tongues for eating, communication, music, and social bonding. It deserves its own category of study. I think you might be the first person to ever use that term, Marcus said. Then I am pioneering a new field of research, Zara said with satisfaction. My readers are going to be so excited. As Marcus walked home that evening, he found himself paying attention to every movement of his tongue. Talking, swallowing, even unconsciously moving it around in his mouth. Activities he had never considered before seemed remarkable now. And somewhere in her hotel room, Zara was writing her second blog post, The Courage of Human Tongues, How Earth's Most Sensitive Organs Become Tools for Connection. Within hours, it would become the most popular article in interplanetary anthropology, inspiring a wave of alien tourists to visit Earth specifically to study human eating habits. But that's a story for another day.